Jon Moxley, hard reset New York Post segment. So there's two things to talk about Jon Moxley. The first thing we're going to be talking about is an interview that he did with the New York Post. Here's some quotes. Everything that has happened up until this point doesn't matter, Moxley said. He's talking about AEW and their booking and philosophies and everything else. This is day zero. We begin from here, and it might not look much different right now, but it will, and things are accomplished by small incremental steps, doing little things consistently, and this is how big changes are made over periods of time. He noted an instance earlier this year when a backstage person said something that stunned him, and he felt talents were not put in a position to succeed due to a lack of, quote, preparation, framework, and direction. Quote from Moxley again. This individual said, well, it's the bottom of the card. It doesn't matter. It's the bottom of the card. It doesn't matter, Moxley said. Can you imagine that? Like, you're effing fired. Yeah, you're effing fired. Go work at Sunglass Hut. You should be effing pistol whipped for saying that. Everybody that's on top was at one time on the bottom. That's how it works. You climb the ladder. You see a lot of frustration and confusion from some of these talents because there is no effing ladder. They don't know what they do. They're kind of just wandering in the desert. We're going to grab them by the shoulder and we're going to walk them. There's a couple more things that I'll mention that. But what do you think about that? Someone saying that it's the bottom of the card, it doesn't matter. Was that your philosophy?
Well, if I have, say I bring a new guy in and I'm going to put him in second match instead of putting him in first match, your first match should be one of your best matches on the card. That gets the people up, your first match. So I'd put him in second match or third match and see how he does. And yeah, it does matter if it's first match or not. I want him to go out there, give me the best performance he can, because I won't judge him and my reaction to him according to what I do with him. So if he goes out there and he lays an egg, well, he can only lay an egg so many times and I'll have to replace him or put somebody else in his place. It does matter. And yeah, Jon is halfway right on this and halfway wrong, I think, because it's the bottom of the card. If you put somebody in the bottom of the card and you try to push them, but they don't have what they need to get there, then you've kind of wasted that. But and the rule of thumb is always like put the baby face over and let the people, kind of don't piss them off early on with the guy that you're not unsure of. Let the baby face beat him 1, 2, 3. And he could always come back later on and, attack the guy or whatever if he wanted to do something with him. But yeah, he's kind of right and kind of wrong because I don't care what kind of booker you are. You can look at a guy and say, and have an idea in your head that you want to do something with him, but you got to see him first. You got to see how he goes out there and what gimmick is going to work best with him. If he goes out there and he does a lot of amateur wrestling, well, you can't really make him a flat out heel because what's he got to make get the people pissed off? Unless he's a great talker, then you can work that with him. But it's a little different than what it seems. And that's an old saying. It's the first match. Who gives a crap? Yeah, that's an old saying. I heard it when I started. And I think it was monkey see, monkey do, monkey hear, monkey say. So that's what he's pissed off. What he's saying now is it's a new day in AEW now, and it's going to change. When did he say this?
This was a few days ago, or last week. Let's say last week he said this.
Okay, has the hierarchy changed in AEW
Nope.
in the last few days?
Nope. That being said...
Well, why would it be? Watch it and you'll see. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, I guess so. There are a couple of things that have come out. I don't know if I mentioned this last week. I can't remember. But I know I did say something to the effect of they're going to be changing the live events and TV tapings to make it, more... Just get the fans going a bit more. Almost like having, I don't know, a warm-up comedian during the break or something, just to keep the crowd going, because the crowd's been dead recently. And that's because the shows have been bloody awful the last couple of weeks.
How awful were they?
Oh, awful. Bloody awful.
Bloody awful.
I mean, some of the worst shows ever. And they really have been. I mean, we'll talk about that in a few minutes because we saw the Go Home segment, but we'll talk about that from yesterday as we record this. But then he mentions the Warner Brothers Discovery deal, $185 million. And then there's also the fact that they're now going to be taping in smaller buildings, finally, instead of
Right.
spending six figures on NBA, arenas throughout the country that they only fill with 2,000 people. They're going to start doing smaller and like mid-sized places. Here's something else Moxley said. What are we going to do with the opportunity regarding the new Warner Brothers Discovery deal? That's what I'm worried about. There's been a lot of kind of in the position of AEW in the past, There's been a lot of sitting around celebrating, just treating it like this stuff just happens. Like, oh, it's just success, it just happens. This is the way it's supposed to be, and it's not going to go anywhere. Like, this can all go away tomorrow. Moxley's goal is to create better habits and a better understanding than anything with an AEW logo on it needs to be held to the highest standards, because it reflects on everyone in the company. Not doing so will be a blatant disrespect to the paying fans. He wants to create an environment that's inhospitable for bullshit. And he finishes off by saying, I'm just kind of excited about the new kind of attitude you're feeling, the energy that you're feeling in the locker room, backstage, and in the arena, just everything surrounding AEW. But as I say, the last couple of AEW Dynamites, the crowd has been dead from beginning to end pretty much, and they've just been terrible shows. And nothing's changed. The lighting's still the same. The same amount of people are turning up. It's really dark and dingy presentation. Nothing's changed yet. But it sounds like 2025, they look like they're going to be doing some stuff.
If I was Tony Khan, I'd call up Jon Moxley and make him my executive vice president. I say, this is what we need to hear. And we need to hear it from somebody who believes it. And I think Jon Moxley believes it. Because if he wants to go out there and he's saying AEW deserves our hardest work, our utmost appreciation, and our steadfast desire to deliver, top-notch programming to the fans that are tuning in. And that's how you get it. So, and sometimes you have to have that hard ass there. You've had jobs and you've had the hard ass that sometimes you have to go answer to, and you'd rather take an ass whipping than go and see this guy. I don't know if you have, but most people have. And he can do that. You say, go see John, see what he says. And you go, God, I don't want to go see him. Because, he's going to bust your ass down. He said, listen, we're all busting our ass here, and you're going to do it too. You're going to be out of a job, period. That's the only thing he can threaten them with. And so if you're going out there and you're doing this, you're doing that, blah, 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 you're getting drunk in a bar, you're making the whole company look bad, we're not going to have it. And when you go to that ring, you better go out there and win the ring with the intention of turning in the best performance you can turn in that night. Otherwise, you're just a waste on the payroll, and you can be replaced.
Britt Baker, we just talked about it before. I mean, if she just went out there and just crapped on a future match, I don't care, nobody cares. I mean, that would be, for me, if I was, let's say, Jon Moxley or whoever it is, has an executive vice president of talent relations kind of role. I mean, man, that would be so, like, final strike. If you do it again, you're out kind of thing. Or Adam Cole turning up yellower and yellower every single week. he was like jaundice yellow this week. He was like reflective.
Okay. Do you think she was told to say nobody cares?
No, I don't think so. I think she just did it.
Yeah, and because I don't think she thought that the camera mic could pick her up. But before I would let that go out there, I'd censor it out.
It's live.
Yeah, well, it is live? That was live? Well, you can't do that. But anyway, but she should say, if the woman comes out, or the opponent comes out, and you say, no, nobody cares, that means that killed my interest in it right there. If nobody cares, why should I care? See, it's little bitty things that the guys do, that the talent does, that they shouldn't do. But who's telling them not to do it?
Exactly.
Who is the one that can go? Who is the one guy in AEW that can walk up to them and say, never, never, ever say that again?
Do you think Tony Khan's going to do that?
No. But who does that fall to?
Okay, well, if it's the EVPs, Kenny Omega's not there. Cody Rhodes is no longer there, and the Young Bucks are taking a sabbatical. So all you have, I think, are some office personnel, Tony Khan, who's at every show, and some agents.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So it is running right now just on fumes. I think it's running on fumes, and there's nobody basically. I can't say this for sure, but I don't think there's anybody basically in charge of it. I think Tony books what he wants to book, and he can do that because he's the one that put the money out for it. He can do what he wants. But hey, you could have a guy writing songs. He could write the songs he wants, but nobody wants to hear them. And that's a big problem. If you write some songs that the people want to hear or buy or play on the radio or something like that. But to me, I've always thought AEW, and this is not a knock on them, they're like running, they're just there. And I don't know what happens during the meetings. I don't know what happens. I'm not there. I don't know. And if anybody was there, at least they got sense enough not to tell anybody not in the company what's going on. But they just say, yeah, we have a meeting, and we go over everything. But anyway, I think it's lost in the transfer of information.
This might blow your mind, but I think I read somewhere recently that AEW, correct me if I'm wrong, basically don't have pre-production meetings.
What?
Like, there are no pre-production meetings in AEW, pretty much. I think I'm right in saying that. If I'm wrong, tell me, but yeah.
No, they got to have a pre-production meeting.
Nothing
I mean,
major,
you don't get the writers in a room, and you don't get to all the.
There aren't any writers. I mean, oh yeah, there is one writer. Like, I can't remember his name, but Will Washington, I think. There is like one writer or maybe two writers, but there aren't like pre-production meetings like WWE. It might be a quick, here's what you're doing today, here's a piece of paper, go nuts. And that's it, really.
Well, that's a mistake. That is really a mistake.